It's week one. Chicago Bears have a game Sunday night. Primetime stage against the Rams in Los Angeles. I'm Dan Wiederer of the Chicago Tribune, joined by Dionne Miller of ABC7. Didn't feel like we were going to get here. Now we're here, and it's full steam ahead.
Now it counts, Dan. Now it matters. Every minute matters. They better get to work. That's all I have to say.
So I was driving home from Hallis Hall on Monday, Labor Day, and I was deep in thought about all that we've learned about this team over the last 6 weeks. And I have a riddle for you.
Okay.
All right. And this is what I was thinking of as I drove home. What if Andy Dalton is as good as the Bears have advertised him to be?
Dan, you're so cute. What a fun, cute little thought. What if maybe that's a big if. We've not seen it. Only things that we have seen. Okay, this is what I will say. Upgrade at quarterback for sure from last year. That is hands down truth. There is you can't argue anything otherwise. Experience, decision making. We're not hearing those same, we want to see what his decision making is like. We know what it is, right? He's got the experience. He has that veteran leadership about him. He makes every throw that he makes is decisive. Does it always hit the mark? No, but there's no hesitation there. I think that's the major difference that we're seeing. But the number one defense in the NFL is week one. And I have not seen anything from Andy Dalton that lends me to believe that he can pick them apart at will with an offensive line that is still conditioning on the fly.
We talk about schedule makers sometimes, and I think there are times where the schedule makers don't do you a favor, right? I thought a year ago the schedule makers did the Bears a favor. They gave them the Lions and the Giants out of the gates, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, this team can get its footing, right? They can get a little bit of momentum. They can create some positive energy, and we'll see how far it can carry them. A year ago, it carried them out to a 5-1 start because the schedule makers allowed them to build confidence early. Couple years ago, 2019, that game against the Packers on the Thursday night of the NFL's 100th season, I think was the worst thing that could have happened to that team because that team had Super Bowl expectations. They went into that game feeling almost as if it was the Super Bowl, and they laid an egg. They didn't score a touchdown. They scored only 3 points, and it felt like it took them months to kind of come out of the funk that game helped create.
Right.
This doesn't feel like a good matchup for the Bears going into week one, as you mentioned, against a Rams defense that is really, really good, with a player like Aaron Donald up front. And so this question sort of has two parts to it because I don't expect the Bears to look great offensively in week one because of what we just talked about. This Rams defense has done a tremendous job historically of shutting them down. We talked last week, 35 possessions the last 3 times they played, 2 touchdowns. You don't expect interruption out of that. But that said, I'm in the minority in saying that I really do believe that this offense can take notable strides forward in 2021. And a lot of people, I think, take that a little bit out of context because when I say notable strides forward, it's relative. And it means basically transforming yourself from a bottom tier offense into an offense that can be in the lower teens, maybe middle of the league, right? In that 16 to 19 range. I think they can get there. I think they can get there in part because I think Andy Dalton may be better than the outside world thinks he can be. That's what we're going to test out Sunday night, first things first.
Well, the reason that thought of them improving offensively is not crazy is because where else can they go but up at this point? And like we said, the most important position on the field is quarterback. They definitely upgraded there with Andy Dalton. There's no question. No one can argue that. My major concern is the offensive line, though, Dan. How ready are they? They're not this cohesive unit that they've talked about wanting to be 5-1 since the beginning of OTAs. That's not who they are.
The cohesion is certainly not there. I think that the talent is there and the stability that was lacking in August is starting to get there, right? We went through a stretch in August where it was like, Tevin Jenkins' back's not healing. He can't play left tackle. Elijah Wilkinson is struggling at left tackle. And by the way, he's on the reserve COVID-19 list for 5 days. He can't play left tackle. Let's try rookie Larry Borum there. He can try to play left tackle. Wait, he's got a concussion. He can't play left tackle. And now Jason Peters is going to be the guy playing left tackle, and now all of a sudden you put him alongside 4 guys that you expected when training camp opened to be the starters, right? You talk about James Daniels and Cody Whitehair at guard. You talk about Sam Mustipher at center and Jermaine Ifedi at right tackle. And so I don't have this elevated level of panic about the offensive line that a lot of people have going into the season. I think if they can get themselves steady, again, it may not happen in the first half of week one. It may not happen at all. on Sunday night. But in the next couple of weeks, I think if they stay healthy, that they've got enough there to be a functional and perhaps average offensive line, and all of a sudden that unlocks a lot of things for your offense. Back to the Dalton thing for just a minute, because we had a chance on Monday to talk to a lot of different people up at Hallis Hall. Yeah. And I asked two people that should have some knowledge about this, about what excites them most about having Andy Dalton in the spot that he's in going into week one. Allen Robinson, first guy, he's going to be your top receiver, right? He's going to be the guy that stands to benefit most from good quarterback play in 2021. He said Andy's experience. He just really feels that on a day-to-day basis, that you can communicate with Andy. Andy sees the game at an advanced level with 10 years in the league, where he can understand what a defense is doing and adjust on the fly, and also anticipate, hey, listen, if we come out with this is what they might show. This is how I want you to adjust your route. And so those types of things can unlock an offense a little bit. John DeFilippo, the quarterback's coach, I said, what excites you most about Andy in this situation? He said it's two things. Number one, it's the track record. It's 10 years of experience, which gives a coaching staff a little bit of comfort, I guess, that they're asking him to do will be done. And then he said it's the steadiness that Andy brings to the huddle. And they've seen that all throughout the process. This is go back to May, right? May and June, July, August. Fans haven't seen everything that this Bears coaching staff has seen, because they only get glimpses of 3 preseason games, right? On 3 consecutive Saturday nights. And it hasn't looked pretty on the 2 games that Andy Dalton played. But the coaching staff says, hey, look, we've been around this guy for months now. Steadiness, calmness, it's going to lend an element of confidence and comfort in that huddle. So that's why I bring up that question. What if Andy Dalton is better than we expect, and Justin Fields doesn't have to play until late October, November, dare I say after Thanksgiving?
Well, let's hope so. You have thrown already 2 very big ifs into this conversation. The one is Andy Dalton, and then the other one is if they stay healthy. And I think that's where my concern is with that offensive line. I know I keep harking back to this, but it's so important for a guy like Dalton, who isn't mobile like Justin Fields is, to have protection he needs to execute the way that they want him to. And I'm worried about these guys that are coming in. Jason Peters knows the position. He knows how to play. He wasn't ready to retire. He's been conditioning for this, right? But game speed is so different. And he hasn't been out there. And I appreciated what Flip pointed out yesterday. Like, this is our first game week. We're seeing what the first Wednesday looks like, and then the first Thursday, and then the first Friday. Like, I'm not giving them an out or making an excuse, but I'm just saying, like, this is all a work in progress still for a new quarterback coming in, new guys on the O-line, and stepping in there against a very challenging defense on Sunday night on a huge stage for them. It's not the best way to you don't feel great about them being 7 and a hook underdogs heading to LA. You just don't.
You shouldn't. There's nothing to feel good about it. I'm just throwing what ifs out there, right? Because what ifs are fun for week one, and then we can get into all this stuff later. I think if I'm going to throw out the what ifs, Matt Nagy always throws out the whys, right? He wants to know why everything happens. Like, what are the whys of why we're doing the show? I don't know. We'll have to explore those.
Still up for debate. We don't know.
In a post-show production meeting. But that leads me to the question on what does Matt Nagy need to do in 2021 to regain Chicago's trust? This guy was the coach of the year in 2018. The last 2 years, his stock in the city of Chicago has fallen dramatically. And so it leads me to that question. What does he need to do to make the outside world and Bears fans feel comfortable and confident that he is the right man to be pulling the trigger and calling the shots for this team?
Dare I say that Vic Fangio should have been named Coach of the Year in 2018? Maybe that was the reason they had such success. I mean, you're right. He has a lot on the line. And yet when we talk to him, when we talk to Ryan Pace, I don't feel like that they think they're sitting on the hot seat the way that fans do. And I feel like the way they should feel this sense of urgency, but I feel like their plan for Justin Fields has somehow bought them another year because, what we're seeing from Andy Dalton is so similar to what we saw from Alex Smith. Gosh, I hope so. I mean, like, when you say that, you better throw up a couple of prayers at the same time that what they're seeing is actually true. And even Nagy pointed out, he's like, I know I always go back to KC, but that's the experience that I have. Okay, but it's not always going to be like that. Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I hope Justin Fields is too. I hope that he is. And I hope that Andy Dalton can be a stronger Band-Aid from now until when they need Justin Fields to step in. I hope he can be stronger than the way that he's looked right now. So, I mean, we're clinging to hopes, prayers, and what ifs, right?
I go back to the strides that the Bears need to make. And if they can transform themselves from a maddening offense into an average one, all of a sudden Matt looks a lot better, right? You hope
Yes.
that the defense continues to play winning football. And now if you can become an average football team on the offensive side of the ball, that to me means 350 yards per game, 23.5 points per game, right? That should put you in the middle of the league in both categories. Now, all of a sudden you might, be able to wall off some of the mistrust and skepticism that exists in the outside world because of all of the struggles the last few years. And so Matt's got to figure out a way to press those buttons. He's done a fine job of putting pieces in place and getting the vibe in the locker room that they talk about forever. Well, now it's about pressing the right buttons on offense and getting this offense to be functional on an every week basis, right? It can't just be periodically. It can't be just be for a 3-week stretch in December. And they can't be talking about, we survived this 5-game losing streak this year.
Right.
All that stuff. That can't happen anymore. So you have to be consistent. You have to be functional on offense. The last thing that I would bring up on this front is what you talked about is this idea of what is the level of heat on the seats of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. This is a question that I don't know that we've gotten clear-cut answers to. We haven't heard from George McCaskey or Ted Phillips really since January. They both said they expected to see some level of progress and improvement in 2021 from the Bears. But what is that? So I asked Ryan Pace last week. He said winning football games and winning playoff games, right? Yeah. That's his own bar. He set that bar. If he doesn't reach it, what's the accountability? Matt said, look, we want to be able to play complementary football, look like we're a more consistent team and not have to weather these 6-game losing streaks like they had a year ago. That's another bar that's been set. To me, progress and improvement revolves around the ability to set yourself up for long-term stability at the most important position, the quarterback position. Very little else matters to me going forward if you don't have stability at that position. They haven't been able to discover it. This will be my 9th year on the beat, Dionne. I haven't seen stability at the quarterback position yet. If they can't establish it with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields, most significantly Justin Fields, they are going to be lost and wayward again, and that's a problem. Your thoughts on what you would define as progress and improvement?
Well, I mean, it's a production-based business, so we would love to see them winning more games, and I have yet to see any expert opinion project the Bears to win more than 7 or 8 games. Again, that is not progress. To me, that's not progress. I think what I would define that as seeing consistency with the offense, right? Like, and avoiding those extended losing streaks, like you guys talked about yesterday, avoiding those when you have the dips, to not let like the wheels just come off and here we go, 4, 5, 6 in a row. That can't happen again. And I think being able to pull the brakes on that, showing more fight. But you look at their schedule, Dan, it is not favorable. This is not a way to see progress coming for the offense or frankly, or the defense, which is a whole nother side topic.
So you asked for the right to make a bold lettered prediction here on the show. So I need it. I need your 17-game prediction for the 2021 Chicago Bears. Wins, losses.
Okay, well, let me start with week 1. The only tiny hole I see of maybe a possibility that they can stay in this game is the fact that the defense does know Matthew Stafford. Different personnel, I get it. But this is a defense that does know that quarterback. So maybe that gives the Bears a slight chance. But I believe that's a loss. Bengals at home. I mean, I'm not going to take this long on every pick, okay? But this is what I did this morning. I looked through and I'm like, okay, Bengals at home, maybe. I think they lose at Cleveland. I think they beat the Lions. I think they lose in Vegas. I think they lose to the Packers. I think they lose to Tampa Bay. I think they lose to the 49ers. Oh, my gosh.
You still only have 2 wins. You only have 2 wins.
That's right. 2 wins. At Pittsburgh on a Monday night, maybe. That's a maybe. Ravens, I don't think they win that game. At Detroit on Thanksgiving, maybe. Cardinals, yes. I think they can beat the Cardinals at home because of the distance of travel and all those things. So now we're at what, 3 wins?
4. You got up to 4 now.
4 wins. Okay. At Green Bay, no. Vikings at home on a Monday night, maybe. At Seattle, no way. They will not travel that far and win. So they beat the Giants. I'm at 6. I don't know that they win at Minnesota on the last game of the season.
So all that confidence that I was exuding at the outset is clearly not matched by you on the other end.
I have become a salty, snarky, old veteran covering the Bears, and I am ashamed of it.
I have been straddling the 8-9, 9-8 fence here for months here. By the way, it hurts to straddle that fence a little bit. And
Are you
stop
in
doing
pain?
that and just pick a side and avoid that discomfort. But I was asked last week, do I think the Bears can be better this year? And do I think they can be a playoff team? I said, yes, they can be better. And if I think they can be better, then that means I think they can be a playoff team, because last year they were a playoff team and they were no good, right? So we got that. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team? I do not. I'm going to step on this side of the fence for now and say 9-8. But outside of the playoff picture looking in, it will be a disappointing ending. It'll be a 9-8 season that leaves everybody scratching their heads and say, what do we do from here? But it will be a winning season. And again, this is my 9th year on the beat. I have only seen the Bears have 1 year where they finished above 500. Believe that?
It's my 10th year. And the only season that I think let me think.
Yeah.
I was here for Lovey's last year when he
I guess
when he finished 10-6 and then
they won
fired
10-6, but didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, so.
and then they fired him. Right. So I've seen a couple of over 500. I can't believe I just predicted 6-11. Gosh, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, me too. Because these are going to be some miserable.
Documented.
These are going to be some miserable midweek back and forths.
I will be open to attack if I am wrong, because I hope I am wrong, but I don't know if I am.
If there's one thing we know from the comment section of these videos, we are always open to attack. I can tell you that much. But there are people that wrap their arms around us also and embrace this show, and they continue to like our videos, and they subscribe to this channel. They do all the things that we tell them to do.
And we love it.
Well, we love the people that don't like us also, because they watch, and that's great.
Just comment, just like, subscribe. Even if you just subscribe because you want to tell us we're wrong, go for it. We don't care.
No doubt about it. And we'll have a lot more coming out of this game Sunday night. Should be a fun one in LA. That's Dionne Miller. I'm Dan Wiederer. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.